Hello everyone, it's Migs here again, and today in this video we're going to talk about upgrading your truck, and in specific your engine. So this is all about getting your truck to perform better, have more power, have more torque to take on those big loads that we sometimes struggle with. To do this, we're going to be editing some of the engine torque figures and the rev range. So you'll see it's quite easy. Watch the space. Get tuned. Let's go. Okay, so here we go. Let's open up the My Mods folder and def, and we're gonna have to add another folder in here. We're gonna call it vehicle. Okay, but how do I get this? Let's open up the base folder. Let's have a look at how this works. Okay, so we're gonna go def. We're gonna need to change the vehicle's dynamics, engine, and so forth. So you see the vehicle folder there. So right click on here, say new folder, and let's type in vehicle. Enter, we go in. All right. Now we're looking for truck. That's the next one. So another one, you can just click on the icon on top there, and to pop in, you just type in truck. Enter, you've opened it up. Let's open up here. What we need now is your truck's engine, or the truck that you drive. So if you drive a DAF or a Volvo or whatever the case may be, that's the folder you're going to create. If you drive multiple vehicles or multiple trucks, you will create a folder for each truck that you drive. In my case, I'm going to use a Scania S 2016. Okay, so I'm just to make things short, I'm just going to copy the text in there, Control C, go in here, make a new folder, Control V, and there we go. We've got the file name created. Let's open it up, go in here. We are looking now for engine, seeing as we're going to modify the engine. So we have to create another one called engine. So click a second time, Control C to copy. Let's go in here, create the folder, and Control V. There we got the engine now. All right, now the first thing I would suggest is in game, go into your truck repairs section, into a garage or whatever, and look at your vehicle configurator and look at the engine. See which engine you've got installed. That would be the best way to have a look at it. In my case, I've got a Scania, I think it's a 730 horse that I've got installed. So we'll go in there and we'll look at the DC16730, which is this one over here. So this is the file I need. Okay, so right click, copy it into the folder, and we are done with the section for the base folder. Now to open it, let's open it up in Notepad. So double click that. There you go. That's your data for your engine. You can see it's a 730 horse Scania S 2016 engine. It's the Euro 6 V8. Price is 29,000. Okay, here's a little trick. If you want to unlock certain accessories in your configurator, you can always change this value here to 0 to unlock it earlier, or to not pay for it. At least to unlock it, you'd have to alter this number to 0. Okay, so you could just type in 0, and then it will be available from the get-go. So as you start the game, it will be available immediately. What you now need to have a look at is the info of the engine, because we're going to play with the torque curves and the torque and power factors of the engine. The first one is, these are just info, it's descriptions of the engine. So this is what would appear on your screen in the configurator of the engine section. It will give you the description of the engine. Okay, so in this case, it would be a 730 horsepower, 537 kilowatt. That's what would be appear, and it will also show you the torque figures in Newton meters and your RPM range. I would not suggest changing any of this, but if you need to, then adjust it according to the values that your new engine is going to have. So in my case, let's make this engine 900 horsepower. And the equivalent of 900 horsepower into kilowatt is 671. So by changing those values, you change the description that appears in the configurator. Okay, and then the RPM, we can, or the torque factor, which is this one here, 3,500 Newton meters. Let's change that to 4,500. Let's give you an extra 1,000 torques. So that's 4,500. To adjust that, then you come up here, you see where it says info, this section over here. You adjust that one and make that a 4. Like that, you got, it reflects correctly on your engine data. All right. And now the RPM, I just want to check if this is, yeah, no, this can stay the same. You don't need to change that because basically you're not going to be messing with the RPM range, although you will be messing with the torque curve of this engine. All right, what I've done now is I'm just going to enter. I'm going to copy over the format that I've got. I'm going to paste it in here, Control V. So you can see a direct comparison. So basically your torque curve at 300 RPM, it's basically 10% of your total torque available. So at 300 RPM, you're only going to get about 450 torques. At 440 RPM, you're going to get 40% of your torques. At 1000 RPM, you're going to get full 100% of your torques. Okay, that's basically what this configuration says to you. What I've done is at 300, I've got 0 torques, because at 300, you're not even idling. Your truck should be stalling at that RPM. But I've changed the RPM ranges, and you can see that I've added an extra one. There's an extra line here from 1900 to 2000 to 2250 and 2500. That one's 1900 to 23. I've created an extra line in between these two to give me a bit more flexibility with my motor. Doesn't mean that you're going to ride in that rev range, but sometimes when you need to tow a heavy load and you need to get your revs up, that torque demand does help. And that's why I've added that extra line. And you can see that from 40%, I've still got it at 100%. So it just gives me that extra boost for the engine to tow those heavy loads, especially if you want to do some heavy load towing. That's where the help comes in. So using this as a reference, so from 440, I've gone to 550 on the RPM. At 1000, I got full torques as is the original. At 1450, I've got full torques as original. At 1.8, I've still got full torques, and at 1.9, I've still got full torques. You can see that I had these figures in before, but they started to, I started to suffer with the heavier loads. And that's all reason for the increase in the engine power. It's not to hit 200 kilometers an hour or to go for a high-speed track. This is not a racing game. It's to help with the load that you're carrying, to make the truck capable of driving that load. That's all reason for this trick, or for this mod upgrade. Okay, so as you can see, the RPM ranges, I still got 100% at 2000. So this is all due to the turbo. So it's obviously an upgraded turbo. So it's giving me the boost functionality. It's giving me the RPM. It's giving me the torques even at high RPM. But then to keep it realistic, you've got to start scaling off, because no turbo is that efficient. And no engine, aspirated or not, has that efficiency. So we've got to keep it realistic. And that's why I've adjusted the values to make it seem realistic. And when you drive, you will notice the difference as well. You can go as high as you want. You can make okay, let me just reiterate something over here. By making this 900 horsepower, 671 kilowatt, doesn't mean that you've made it that power rating. All you've done is literally just change the torque factor. That's all you've done in this engine, to trick it into thinking, okay, it's got more power, so it's going to behave like it's got more power. This over here is just for description. This is just for information purposes. So keep that in mind. You can change this to 20,000. If you don't change your torque, nothing's going to change. You're still going to have the same engine. It's just going to have a different description. It's like if your name is John and somebody calls you Pete, that's a nickname. That's all that's happened. So yeah, bear in mind, this is just for information purposes. It's not going to change anything in your motor upgrade. What changes is your torque factor. Okay, and by changing the torque factor, you obviously have to adjust the torque curve of that engine. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to delete these few lines here so that everything stays within reason. Okay, these are my new values. Volume, that's your displacement of your engine. That I would leave the same. Don't mess around with that, because that will affect your fuel consumption. Okay, now what you can do as well, the AdBlue power the AdBlue consumption, you can adjust that if you wanted to consume more, if you want to make it consume less. So basically what this is saying is 6% of your fuel consumption is driven from your AdBlue. Okay, and once your AdBlue tank or reserves have been depleted, or your tank is empty on your AdBlue side, the power will be limited to 50% of your actual power. Okay, if you don't want that to happen, even if your tank runs dry on your AdBlue side, if you want to maintain full power, you would change this value to whatever you like. You would adjust it to higher or lower depending on what you want to do with your game, or seeing how you want your truck to behave once you run out of your AdBlue. That's entirely up to you what you want to do with this. So I left it the same. I want to keep it as realistic as possible, but all I wanted to do was to give myself more power so that I can tow heavier loads. I like to test myself sometimes on 150, 160 ton loads, and if you don't have the power, you're just not going to do it. You get to an off ramp and you take the turn and it's a bit of an uphill, your truck's just going to slide backwards, no matter what you do. So yeah, also be realistic about what you want to achieve and adjust your editing skills to what you want to do. If you want to go racing, get yourself another game, Assetto Corsa, whatever. There's plenty racing games out there that will do it for you. It's not going to be Euro Truck. But that being said, you can have a lot of fun by playing with these numbers, and you can actually get a feel of, this truck's not bad. You're actually going to start enjoying driving your truck, maybe. Who knows? Anyway, guys, that is the lot. Obviously, what you have to do is you've got to save this. Once that is saved, I think we can close everything up. Let's just open this up again and see. Okay, there we go. Nothing's basically the file's been saved. It's in your mod. All good. We can. I'm just going to close this one. Leave it. There we go. Right, now we go back all the way out. There we go. One more. Okay. Highlight everything. Add to archive. What we need to change is the zip format, the compression method to store, and then you've got to change the file extension to SCS. I'm still old school. I like to keep it in that format because in your mod manager or in the directory where you keep your mods, it still files correctly. Because once you start changing file extensions and you sort them according to types, you're going to get mixed, it's going to mess up a bit. So I keep it old school. I'll keep it on SCS. Say okay, and there's your mod all done. Take it out of your folder. Same over here. You can close that. Once you open this up, there it is. Let's go check inside here. Let's go into vehicle. There we go. Truck. Scania. Engine. Then there's your engine. And you can see your values are still there. All right. Guys, if you like this video, please keep watching for more. There's more content coming along, and I'm going to try and keep them as short as possible. And if you like what you see, subscribe, hit the like button, share. Let's get this thing recognized. Thanks, guys. Till the next one.